The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.
Tonight on the agenda.
We have in all of Europe, we have all over the world, this kind of populist party on the rise. We have not found yet a perfect way of dealing with it.
Then, later on the agenda.
I think downtown needs to reinvent itself as not a place just for office workers, and like the whole economy was based on like going for lunch because they're there, but then they left and went somewhere else. It needs to be reinvented as a 24-hour neighborhood.
Because we are so close to the United States, any discussions about countries we trade with, share values with, or like visiting almost always begin and end with America. But since the end of the Second World War, Canada has had increasingly close ties with Germany. In March of this year alone, Germany exported almost $1.5 billion worth of goods to Canada, mostly cars and pharmaceutical products. And Ontario cabinet ministers almost always have Germany on their itineraries when they're trying to drum up business in Europe. Sabine Sparwasser has been Germany's ambassador to Canada for the past 7 years. She was also the Federal Republic's Consul General in Toronto 4 years prior to that. So she knows us well. Her ambassadorship is about to come to an end, so we thought we'd invite her onto the agenda to find out what's working in our relationship and what should be working better. Ambassador, willkommen in unserem Programm. And that's about all the German you're going to hear from me tonight, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Vielen Dank, Steve. Great German.
Dankeschön. Canadians, I think, have the good fortune not to be thought of much at all by other countries, but to the extent that Germans do think of Canada, what do they think of?
Well, Canada is probably one of the two most popular countries in Germany in the world. Whenever you ask Germans where they want to emigrate to, Australia and Canada top the list. Canadians have an extraordinarily positive image in Germany, and I find it's a reciprocated kind of love that we have for each other. When you look at both countries, we see each other as the top countries to be trustworthy, to be great to live in. I think it's a very easy job to be ambassador in Canada, actually, for Germany.
Well, I'm going to ask more about the job in a second, but I want to follow up on your immigration comment. Years and years ago, Canada was a prime destination for German immigration. And of course, we've got Oktoberfest, we've got Waterloo, we have a city that used to be called Berlin. It's now called Kitchener here in Ontario. How about today? Is there as much immigration from Germany to Canada today?
It's probably not one of the big times, the big waves came, for example, after World War II, when a lot of people were seeking for a better future outside of Europe. What we see today is a lot of exchange. We see a lot also of our scientific community coming towards Canada. Germany and Canada have a scientific relationship that is similar to none. It is, if you look at the size of the country, it is extraordinarily intense. We have 800 university corporations, and in that alone, hundreds and thousands of people come from Germany every year.
I mentioned off the top that you folks sell us about $1.5 billion a month in goods and so on, but that is about as much as Canada and the United States do every day over one bridge in this province. So I want you, if you would, to characterize how you see the business our two countries do.
Well, we're doing very good business, and there's plenty of room to grow. Ever since Canada and the EU have signed CETA, the agreement between the European Union and Canada on trade, the trade has gone up. The last few years have been extremely active, and we've seen wonderful growth rates. But yes, you're right, plenty of room to grow. plenty of room to grow in areas where we have seen that we need safe suppliers, plenty of room to grow in areas where Canada has a lot to offer to Europe and to Germany, like critical minerals, like green energy. So we're working on establishing much, much closer links and actually attracting more interest also from Canadian business to invest into going to Europe and Germany.
It's often been said that with 330 million people right next door, Canadians are a bit lazy when it comes to exporting. We don't have to look too far afield because we've got such a huge market next door. Do you think that prevents us from doing more business with Germany?
Well, I think certainly it's totally natural to look at your neighbors first, and particularly your big neighbors. Germany's major business is with Europe, obviously. That should not stop us from looking beyond, in particular, since we've seen in recent supply chain crises during COVID, that we actually need each other and we need to rely on each other. In the energy transition, we will need a lot of critical minerals. We don't want to depend entirely on China on those. So we need to look for other partners. And Canada is a prime partner in this. And I think it's a golden opportunity for raising the profile of the relationship that we have across the Atlantic. And we've been working on that. We've made some headway in the last few years.
Well, let me follow up on that because I mentioned again off the top that you were once Consul General here. You have been the ambassador here. You've spent a lot of time here, so you know us well. During your ambassadorship, what do you actually spend the biggest chunk of your time doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is a G7 embassy, so we are broadly based. But ever since I became ambassador, and this is now 7 years ago here, I've been also traveling the country, and I was traveling the north of this country. And I was suddenly very impressed by the chances, the opportunities we have to do more in the area of energy, critical minerals, to do more also in our work together on climate change and on science. So we have redirected our resources as an embassy towards these subjects, and we actually, I think, made quite a bit of headway in attracting more business, more projects on climate, and we're working very energetically on establishing bridges across the Atlantic on critical minerals and on green energy.
So we understand that it's an ambassador's job to try to drum up as much economic development as possible for both countries. But what about in other ways, politically, socially? How would you characterize the nature of the relationship between our two countries in that regard?
Yeah, we're deeply like-minded countries. And if I say that the focus for us has been on trade and climate and energy, these were areas where we really needed to go. We are very closely aligned on foreign policy, and the G7 has become the G7 connection between Canada and, in particular, Germany has become absolutely crucial also in dealing with day-to-day management of world crises like Ukraine. Our foreign ministers are constantly in touch. They, to my actually sometimes concern, are very directly linked with WhatsApp. And so I often don't even know what they've agreed upon until I ask afterwards. So it's a very close connection on foreign policy. We are defending the rules-based order, the rules-based international order in all international institutions together. Germany and Canada are deeply, deeply like-minded countries, and we always say we can finish each other's sentences in those fora.
Okay, maybe so, but do you think Canada's done enough to assist the Ukrainians with their fight against Russia?
Canada has been a very stellar, an absolute stellar supporter of Ukraine. And you see also the consistent support of a population here that is very, very strongly united on the Ukraine question. Canada has been helping not just with military equipment, with training, but with financial support, humanitarian support, in the same way as we do. We know that Ukraine will need our support for a long, long time to come. We are very ready to do this. We're ready to continue to bring to Ukraine what we can in military aid in order to defend itself against what is a horrible, horrible attack against its freedom and its sovereignty.
That embarrassing moment in our parliament several months ago, how much did that affect Canada's standing in the views of Europeans and Ukrainians in particular?
I think it made more headlines here than it did certainly in Germany. I do believe that the important message is and was, and I think Ukrainians know that, how Canada sees Ukraine, how Canada wants to support Ukraine, and in that support, Canada is absolutely unequivocal and has been ever since the 24th of February in 2022.
Okay, let me ask you about your relationship with the province of Ontario. And I note that I guess the last time I saw you was at a farewell reception that was held for you at Massey College at U of T. And I'm going to ask our director, Sheldon Osmond, to bring a couple of pictures up that I snapped on that occasion. That's you and Vic Fedeli, who's Ontario's Minister of Economic Development and Job Creation. What did you two try to get done together, you on behalf of Germany and he on behalf of Ontario?
Well, I think Vic Fedeli is an extraordinarily dynamic minister. He's attracted his government, but in particular, he himself has been to Germany many, many times, has taken many trade delegations to Germany. And I think German partners, including Volkswagen, have been very impressed with him, with Minister Champagne as a very dynamic team in attracting a major, the biggest actually, Volkswagen investment in a battery plant in the world. They have been very fast in making an offer that is competitive also with what was offered in the United States. And I do believe that for Volkswagen, being in Canada and being in Ontario has become a value decision as well. Obviously an economic decision, but it also has been a value decision, and Volkswagen feels very much at home and very much welcomed, which is great. It's the greatest investment from Germany ever that Volkswagen is making here in St. Thomas in Ontario. So we're looking forward to seeing this. I will be retired by then, but I look forward to seeing this because the plant will have the size of Monaco, I heard. And when it's being built, there will be no place on earth where there be as much steel being built in order to produce such a factory. So it's a huge thing. It's only one of many, many great things that have happened in the last few years in Ontario. So many other projects I could talk about. Ontario has been very welcoming. Canada has been very welcoming to German investment, in particular to German investment into the energy transition.
Having said that, how could our relationship, meaning between the province of Ontario and either states in Germany or Germany as a whole, how could it be better?
Well, there are plenty of areas where we can grow. One step that we now take with Volkswagen and the big investment and other investments that I could name is going from trade to actually production. Another thing is going towards investing more, working together more on the startup scene. Toronto is, after Silicon Valley, the most active startup capital in the world. We could do an awful lot more there, I think. We're doing many things in education. Germany and Canada and Ontario, in the particular province of Baden-Württemberg, have very active exchanges then, but I could see that grow quite significantly. And when it comes to Canada as a whole, I would say the room to grow in the context of the multiple crises that we're facing in the world is we should work together a lot more on defense and security.
Now, I think you just taught me something there. I think I said German states, but you call them provinces as well?
No, I said you're perfectly right. We call them Bundesstaaten, federal states.
Gotcha. Okay. I want to spend our remaining moments talking a bit about Germany. And to that end, I had a fascinating conversation recently with a German national, a young woman who has lived in Canada for a long time. And she said, you know, on the one hand, I was very proud of Germany when it reached out many years ago to help all those Syrian refugees come to Germany. I think your country took in 1 million refugees who were in desperate trouble, and she was proud of that. On the other hand, she was also worried about what that would do to German traditions, and she was fearful of that refugee influence affecting her understanding of Germany. What would you say to her and people who are similarly concerned about how your country may be changing as a result of its benevolence?
Well, I think she's right. I was very proud of that moment, and I was very proud of Angela Merkel made that decision that we can welcome people. It's a very complex subject. We took in a lot of people all at once, and we took them in as they arrived. Immigration, I think, is much, much more acceptable the more you are in control of who comes, how many comes at what time. And actually, Germany has changed our immigration law in order to attract more qualified immigration, but also to be able to select better who comes into the country. And we've looked at the Canadian case. So we've ended up, actually, we had delegation after delegation come to Ontario and come to Canada to look at the Canadian model of point system of attracting qualified labor. And we've changed our law, and it now looks quite a bit like the Canadian law. The big leaf we took out of your book is the combination between welcoming culture and selecting who can come at what point. And the welcoming culture in Canada is, I find, very, very significant and very characteristic for this country. The fact that you do allow people to come in and bring their own background, bring their own history with them. They don't need to go into a melting pot. They are welcomed as they are, and then also become very much Canadians and represent Canadian values. We've learned a lot from you about that, and I think that is also the precondition for a country that is accepting immigration, and we need immigration. Germany is an aging country. Germany needs to welcome people into its midst, but we need to do it in a way that makes people feel better about it.
Well, okay, let me in our last minute then ask you this follow-up, which is how much do you worry about the backlash that has happened in Germany, the rise of MAGA-style populism and that kind of thing? How much do you worry about that?
I worry very much about that. You saw the recent EU election, the middle held, if you want, the major parties have a majority, but the AfD, which is our extreme right-wing, xenophobic party, has actually gained 16% of the vote. And this after a whole string of scandals involving Russian money that went to the party. So you would have hoped that would have debunked the party, but it didn't. We have in all of Europe, we have all over the world, this kind of populist party on the rise. We have not found yet a perfect way of dealing with it. I think we need to debunk. I think we need to educate. We need to show how these parties operate, and we need critical journalism. We had one good example in Germany at the beginning of this year, where critical journalism actually told the story of the plans of the extreme right-wing party, AfD, to throw people out of the country whenever they hoped they would get power. Millions of Germans took to the street and saying, no way, a party should not be allowed to think these things, to say these things, and certainly shouldn't be in power.
Madam Ambassador, we thank you for your time on TVO tonight. We wish you well with whatever comes next in your life. Dankeschön und auf Wiedersehen.
Vielen Dank, Steve. Auf Wiedersehen.
A good city is like an onion. You can just keep peeling it and never get to the center, never get bored. And I think Toronto's that kind of city.
Thank you so much for joining us at Toronto Island at Olympic Park right now. I understand this was your first ferry trip of the season down to the island.
It was, yeah. The inaugural trip across the harbor is always kind of fun because turn around and look at the skyline. It's like a great reveal of what's changed in the last few months since the last time coming over here. And every time it's different because the city changes by the day, it seems. So when you give it a few months and look at it all at once, it's always a bit of a kind of a shock and overwhelming and just a bit of awe.
This is an update to your original book, Stroll, that you did in 2010. What was the original idea for the book?
Yeah, the original book, I sometimes think about my first 10 years of living in Toronto. I moved here from Windsor, sort of always knew Toronto because you come here for the Phantom of the Opera, to go to Ontario Place, to go to the CN Tower, you know, these tourist things. But then when I moved here, I realized this city's really big. I didn't really know it. I didn't know, you know, where the streets led. I didn't know what was one neighborhood over. And so I started walking and exploring just for fun. And then that sort of morphed into a sort of quasi-job because I started writing about it.
Right.
And so I was writing for about 6-7 years about Toronto, and with Coach House Books put together the first book of walks through Toronto, explorations of Toronto. So I sometimes think of that, the first iteration of the book, as being my like thesis project on getting to know Toronto.
Why the update 14 years later?
Well, we always talked about updating it because talked about it kind of idly because the city's sort of changed and maybe you know, on the 10th anniversary we'll do something. And then we were approaching the 15th anniversary and decided, okay, let's do it. And I thought it would be a couple months project, you know, like this building's gone, add that building in. And I started with my young chapter walking from the lake up. And within the first block, I knew I was a bit in trouble because in that block alone from the lake, I could see like 14 new buildings. Huge landmarks were gone. Like the Toronto Star building is no longer the Toronto Star building. There was Captain John's seafood ship, which was a landmark floating on the lake. That's gone. And I was like, uh-oh, this is like, the change in the city is way more dramatic than I thought. And it's sort of my job to pay attention to the city. And even I was taken aback by how much change there was. So this two-month project became an 8-month kind of odyssey of rewalking every step of the book.
So you have 31 walks that you cover in the book. What would you say is the biggest challenge in terms of the particular roads?
The biggest challenge was just the amount of territory I covered. For the first book, I had years to do it. Right, there are years of going out walking, years of digging in the archives, years of just kind of experiencing the city and then putting that into the book. I had to recheck all that like within a handful of months, and it reminded me also of how big Toronto is. We can see downtown behind me. Like that's the part that gets all the postcards and whatever. But the city's big. It's like 44 kilometers wide. That's like Los Angeles size. It goes on and on and on. And so to recover it, it was a lot of walking.
A lot of steps.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah, I recommend if you want to get your steps in, write a book about the city.
Fair enough. In the build up to the book in 2010, what were your impressions of the city of Toronto?
Back in 2010, it seemed like Toronto was having a bit of a renaissance, maybe. It had been in the doldrums since the 90s. The 90s were kind of bad for Toronto. There was a devastating recession. We were looking at this building boom behind us, which started around 98, give or take. But there was like nothing built for 5 years. There were even like projects that were just like stumps of elevator shafts downtown. So there was that, and then there was amalgamation in 1998, which threw the city in disarray administratively, but also I think like spiritually. The city didn't know what it was anymore, and places like Scarborough and Etobicoke, places that had identities, suddenly didn't technically exist. So it felt like the city was just like thrown for a loop. And then through the 2000s, this sort of spirit of Toronto came back. The art scene really kind of flourished. There's a great music scene. The city started building up again, and there's like a sort of civic spirit and pride that started growing. So I think the book came out of that scene at the time.
I'm curious, with your latest roles of the city, has that changed? Have new impressions of the city?
Yeah, so since 2010, I started writing a weekly column in the Toronto Star about Toronto politics. I love living in Toronto, but it's an incredibly frustrating place. Politically sometimes. Sometimes I characterize Toronto as being a teenage city. Look at it, it's big, but it's kind of it's still so new that it's getting used to being a big city, and a lot of parts of Toronto don't accept that it's big, so we have terrible traffic. Our transit system's not as big city as it should be. So we have all these growing pains. And so writing about this stuff on a weekly basis, I felt cynicism creeping in, which I didn't have originally. As well as the housing crisis in Toronto's grown, the inequality in Toronto's grown. We have other problems, really big looming problems in the place, in the city. And so those are in the book, but my publisher and I, we had to like remind ourselves that we there's a lot of good in this place, and doing these walks again reminded me that I do actually love this place.
There's a term that you use in the book, psychogeography. What does that mean?
Psychogeography is a way of exploring cities and space, really, landscape. That was started in Paris, in France, by the Situationists, and they did all kinds of things. One of the things was psychogeography. It was a way of getting people to think about how they interact with the city, and sort of break people out of the routines and maybe ruts that they were in. So they would do things like go for a walk in Paris using a map of London. They would try to intentionally get lost. They have this really kind of beautiful, elegant way of exploring cities called the derive, or the drift. They would drift through the city without a destination in mind. Whatever, they came to a fork in the road, or an intersection, or an alleyway, and whatever looked enticing, they would follow it. And I realized when I discovered psychogeography, that's what I was doing. It was kind of really one of those wonderful moments when you see other people doing what you're doing. But psychogeography also has like a critical edge to it. It's about exploring and discovering, but it's also about, taking stock of things and like saying, is this good? Is this equitable? Is this that? So it's kind of a wonderful way to explore, but also think critically.
We're in Center Island, going over the bridge to Hamlet's, correct? Is that the direction we're heading at?
Well, you go over the bridge, you go to Hanlan's to the west, Wards Island to the east.
All right. Tell us the history of Toronto Island.
Well, Toronto Island used to be attached to the city. It was like a spit of land that came out, but there was a big storm in the middle 1800s and it got severed, which is now called the Eastern Passage to the harbor. And so then it became the Toronto Islands. There was an Indigenous presence here, and then it became, when the colonial city was being built, this was sort of the escape for the city, and evolved into almost cottage country at Toronto's front door. So it became a populated place. There were little cottages, there were entire communities out here.
What does it represent for Torontonians? You know, again, cottages for a lot of people are out of reach. This is a popular summer spot. Look, it's June and this place is bustling right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's this whole idea in Canada and Ontario that the cottage, you know, is this archetypal thing. Very few people actually own a cottage. It's out of reach, as you said. And so this is the cottage experience for most Torontonians, the most accessible cottage experience. And it's one of the reasons why it's incredibly important, incredibly precious to Toronto. It's why the ferry system, which is very romantic and old-fashioned, is great experience, but it's also a problem because it's really hard to get here. On a sunny summer weekend day, you have to wait a long time for the ferry. It's crowded, you're kind of penned in. The ferries are from the 1920s. They are ordering new ones, but they're going to be in the same style, kind of slow to get on, slow to get off. And so access to public spaces like the islands has actually become a critical issue in Toronto as more people don't have backyards. People live in apartments, condos. They deserve to have this kind of, you know, a cottage experience in a public park. And so making this place more accessible is important.
You don't just walk Toronto, you've started walking through Windsor as well. What else can you discover through sort of walking cities? Windsor's your hometown, yet you say that you never actually walked through it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the suburbs of Windsor, so I always had a car. Windsor's a car town. Mother worked at General Motors. And so I was in a car probably every day of my life until I moved to Toronto. And, you know, Windsor's a smaller place. I always felt like I knew it like the back of my hand because I, you know, lived there for so long. And then when I returned back home, which I do often, I realized after the first book came out that I didn't actually know Windsor. I knew it through the like a windshield, which is like watching a city on TV. You're kind of separated from it. So I've started in the last decade and a half going, like just parking the car in Windsor and just walking these places I thought I knew, but I only knew them from a car. And Windsor has revealed itself in so many different fantastic ways. A few weeks ago I was in Niagara Falls, and I was staying in, you know, the tourist zone right by the falls in one of the hotels, and I just went for a walk along the river to the old downtown, the kind of non-touristy downtown, and you know, the crowds are all right at the falls, but you go half a kilometer away and suddenly you're in the normal city, and walked around the old downtown and the train station, and you can look across to New York State and see the train bridge going there, and then zigzagging through the city back to the tourist part, you know, past the Niagara Falls Public Library, which is this beautiful 1970s building that I think is like, I didn't know it was there, and I think it's one of the best libraries in Canada in its design. And there's just, and it's a cliche that I've written about walking, but it actually works. It reveals the places we live in intimacy that you can't get any other way.
Do Torontonians really know their city?
Some Torontonians surely know their city, but again, it's such a big place that you know, people say, you know, it's a city of neighborhoods, and which is a good thing. You can, you know, I live in a neighborhood where I can do all my stuff in the neighborhood if I want, you know, go shopping, hang out, go to a restaurant, and so I don't have to leave it if I don't want to. And that's just like, you know, so, you know, traffic might be bad in the city, I don't know, because I just walk around. But I think the flip side of that is a city of neighborhoods is that people kind of become, you know, they don't really leave their neighborhood as much. Maybe they go to work or they go to school, or a few friends live here and there. But the city, again, it's endless. It's like, again, 44 kilometers wide and pretty tall, and then it keeps going, right? There's the GTA too.
What would you say, of all the walks, you've seen the biggest change?
It was interesting. Some walks have changed more than others. You know, like the Finch Hydro Corridor didn't change that much, but there's new bridges. Like there's new connections. There were places where I had to walk all the way around. Now I can cross because the city's put in all these wonderful connections. But any of the walks that went through the kind of dense urban parts of Toronto, like Yonge Street, right? We like the way Toronto's zoned. We look behind me, we see all those buildings, and we talk about how quickly Toronto changes and how fast it's growing. But it's actually only growing in a few parts, right? It's zoned the Yonge Street corridor, the waterfront, other kind of pockets around. So a walk like Yonge Street goes through those zoned for change, and the landscapes are completely different. The literal, like what I saw in 2010 is not what you see now, like entire blocks gone and new buildings up. So like Yonge Street, my chapter on the downtown east side, kind of zigzagging around, that's another really intense zone. So there's entire intersections. I kind of rewrote about certain intersections like Dundas Street and Church Street, which are radically different now. And that kind of change, I mean, that's partially why people are very nervous about the changes in the city, because it feels like the city that you know, the city that you might have fallen in love with, is suddenly not there anymore.
So tell us a little bit about some hidden gems on the Toronto Island that you think people should know about.
Yeah, the islands have a very, they're busy parts, Centre Island, the amusement park, the places closest to the ferry, some very formal kind of gardens, but then it gets kind of wild. Like there's some kind of forested areas, there's a hedge maze, of course. One of the things I really like are the modernist pavilions that date to the mid-60s. They were by Irving Grossman, architect. He did a lot of mid-century modern apartment buildings in the city. A lot of that Toronto 60s look was him and some of his contemporaries. But he built these pavilions, these kind of shelters that have washrooms and that sort of thing. And they're gorgeous. I mean, they could have been at Expo 67.
Right.
And they're still here. They're still intact. The Parks Department has done an all right job of keeping them up. So I think those are kind of hidden gems. I just kind of love the that kind of the differences of this place, right? You come from totally wild. The beaches, I think, are oddly a hidden gem, despite them being like the draw, because I think a lot of Torontonians still think you can't swim in the lake, because back in the day you couldn't, or it was dirtier, and that kind of, it still has that reputation, but we swim at the island every summer. And
surprisingly, one of the cleanest waters?
Yes. It's a Blue Flag beach, which is an internationally recognized thing. And I know I'm going to sound like a Toronto booster right now, but it is like swimming in the Mediterranean.
Really?
I think you can swim out over your head and still see the ripples of sand underneath. Maybe a smidge colder. On the west side, which is it was always the more remote side, was Hanlon's Point Beach, which I think is the best beach because it's west facing. But it's also been the queer beach of Toronto. Toronto's first gay picnic happened there in 1971, so it's always been a sort of queer space because it's been a bit farther away from all the crowds, and now it's been clothing optional for 25 years. There's very few of those kinds of beaches in North America, so it's a very kind of unique space. Usually those kind of beaches are like far from the city,
right?
But you can swim out on the beaches here and you just get beyond the tree line, and then there's the CN Tower poking up. And so it's like, oh, the city and like what is like the wilderness, what we might think we have to travel far, far away, are all like right next door to each other, which is why this place is so special, which is why access to this place, equitable access, easy access, affordable access, is really important.
What is good in Toronto by your estimates?
When I return to Toronto from somewhere else, sometimes like great North American cities that are famous, maybe more famous than Toronto for various reasons, and I get back to Toronto and I walk home or I get on the streetcar and I'm like looking out the college streetcar, and there's just endless critical mass of people. Like there's people everywhere, and there's human activity, and and that is exciting to me. That I think, you know, a lot of cities, particularly North American cities, they have pockets, famous pockets where stuff happens. That's where the bars are. Here's the museums over here. And they get all the attention. They might be world-class museums and whatever. But Toronto just has this kind of continuity, endless continuity of humanity, of just human activity. And I think that is the thing I love about Toronto.
What needs work in this city?
I mean, Toronto, I love Toronto, but it needs a lot of work. It needs a functional transit system. It needs, which I think is kind of coming. Like, again, we're in a very awkward time when, you know, we're waiting for subway lines to open. We've been waiting years and years. But there are big projects in the work, and I have to step back sometimes from the daily frustration and say, like, oh, there is a new subway, downtown relief line. The Ontario line coming, Eglinton's going to open, the Finch LRT is going to open. Like, these things are going to, once they do open, it'll be like, oh, okay, things will click together differently. But yeah, the transit question, you have to, the TTC, the GO network, it's not good enough to get everyone out of their cars. People will still say it's better to be in my car. And so it has to be better than the car, because the car is never going to be the solution when you have this many people living together. It's impossible. It doesn't work in any city, only transit works. So there's that one. And the other part of it is the housing equity issue. Like, there's increasingly, Toronto was always expensive. It was always part of the narrative. Like, growing up in the 80s in Windsor, we'd hear what Toronto housing price is, $200,000 for a house? Oh my gosh, whatever. It's always been, but it's kind of been exponentially hard. And like the stories of people leaving the city, of just not finding a place for them here is kind of dire.
Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow is concerned with the downtown revitalization. How can she best achieve that?
Yeah, when it comes to downtown, I sometimes think about what it was like when I moved here in 2000. The downtown was coming back after the recession, very busy place, but no one really lived downtown. There were no residential towers, like one or two, a few on the edge. City Place, the cluster of condos, which is around the CN Tower and the Sky Dome, were kind of coming. But now there's so many people living within the bank towers, within the kind of office towers, that there's always people around. Like, you used to go downtown at night, there'd be nobody there. Now there's people there. So I think downtown needs to reinvent itself as not a place just for office workers, and like the whole economy was based on like going for lunch because they're there, but then they left and went somewhere else. It needs to be reinvented as a 24-hour neighborhood. I think it's lazy to say we got to get the office workers back in there. Like, let's reinvent the place. Maybe the lunch place needs to be open at night. Maybe we need to loosen the zoning and allow for more bars, restaurants. Maybe we need nightclubs back in the city. We have very few places for performance to happen. For bands have a very hard time playing. DJs have a very hard time playing. It's hard to dance in the city. Maybe we should be able to dance downtown again.
When people come and visit the studio, they're like, what is this place? I've never seen this machinery. It invokes this like excitement in myself and this like curiosity again of like, oh yeah, like I get to do this every day. That's so cool. And I work with like these tools that are older than I am. My name is Lorena Agoli, and I'm the owner and head cobbler of Soul Survivor, where we're currently at. I started apprenticing with a shoemaker about 12 years ago to like learn the trade of shoemaking. And I fell into this all kind of by accident. I always had that inkling of wanting to have my own thing. I just never knew what it was. My mom was very creative. She's an artist and a DIYer. So that world of just creating was so intriguing to me, but I never thought that I would actually make a career of it or even become a cobbler. So it was really like a happy accident that I found something that I fell so in love with, and it really woke me up in a dark time. When something comes in, as simple as like removing salt stains of upper, that sometimes I'm just like, yes, the shoe was terrible. It was like scratchy, hard, and I got it to be like soft and supple again, and it's shiny, you know? Sometimes that brings me satisfaction. Other times it's like a complete rebuild of the only thing that really remained was the uppers. Everything else is brand new. For example, you're bringing in a pair of sandals that are just like this like beigey color. They've gotten really dirty, but then, you know, I'm convincing you, like, let's dye them chili red, you know? And like just that kind of like sprucing up really, like, I think is where we stand out to just show people like what's doable. It's a very male-dominated trade, and I remember even going to a cobbler shop and sort of introducing myself and offering just to be there to clean the space. I just wanted to be around that energy and the tools, and the gentleman shook my hand, and, you know, I ended up touching my forearm, kind of being like, you're not strong enough, so I don't think this is gonna work. I had a difficult time like finding someone that was willing to take me on, and that's why when I took over Soul Survivor, it was so important for me to like give female and female identifying people a chance to really be in a safe space that they can like find themselves like I did, because I found that there weren't a lot of spaces out there like that. I'm still learning, so really every day we come across problems or like fun situations that we're just like, how would we do it this time, you know, let's experiment. And so it is a job where we're always learning and creating, so the team really does get better with time and us doing the work together. A lot of the tools that I use are like 50 to 100 years old. I'm like, wow, I can't believe like I'm using this tool that's been around for so long, probably used by all these other shoemakers, and I'm still using it to like keep it up. But at the same time, like it's my job and I do it every day. So it's almost like you kind of take it for granted, realizing what you're actually doing, right? You forget like your hands just did that, you know, you just repaired these 50 pairs of shoes and people get to like walk out in them and you're part of their life. So this is where all of the magic happens. These all here are our trusty sewing machines. We've got this bad boy here, it's called a walking foot. This usually is used for, you know, like quilting leather or like any type of thick materials, but we use this on the daily basis, and we always joke that when she's running, you love to hear her purr because that's when you know she's working really well. And then we've got our trusty post machine. So this is a classic shoemaker's machine. This is where the uppers get sewn on. We were actually gifted this one from another local shoemaker. I think we are now the third generation of shoemakers that, you know, and cobblers that are using this, which I always love the story behind machines like that. I always call this our dining table because this is where everything happens. The team just kind of sits around the table. Well, actually, we all stand most of the time, where we, you know, prep the shoes, you know, dye them, do all of that. Over here, we sort of have the hammering station. This is usually the area that I'm in because I can handle a lot of the heavy workload, and I love doing it, and I'm a little bit faster at it than my staff. And then this is my like prized possession hammer. So this hammer was gifted to me from the previous owner of Soul Survivor. It's dented up so much, it's changed the curve of hammering like thousands of souls for 11 years. When we moved from Kensington, the handle, the original handle, broke, and I was devastated. I was like, I don't have a hammer, and I love this hammer. And then my partner, who was dabbling around with some wood, lathed me this hammer post, and I love the hammer even more now. She hasn't been named, but maybe I should. We do love naming our machines here, which I will now introduce you to Jill Sander. We call her Jill Sander because she's a female and she sands, and she's a beast. She's really a workhorse and has done a lot of repair. And she's quite loud, which we think suits our environment because we are also very loud as females here. This bad boy here is called a 5-in-1. The joke between many shoemakers and cobblers is that we all only know 4 things that it can do and no one can figure out what the 5th thing is. But pretty much it can press soles, it can skive and slice leather, it can cut the soles, and I guess I've only named 3, so I really don't know what the other 2 are, but maybe mine's not an original 5-in-1. It never resonated with me whenever people said like, oh, you work in a dying trade, because one, I'm working in it, so I know for sure that like it's not dead. trying to like revive things that have been around for so long. I think that's what gives us a new breath of life, really, to like be able to continue in this trade. And especially with like everyone sharing their knowledge too now, whereas before I felt like, you know, old time shoemakers or cobblers would sort of see you as a competition if you'd come and ask them questions. And now, you know, you have YouTube University, like everyone's sharing all the knowledge out there. Maybe a rejuvenating craft, but I think it's ironic that our name is Soul Survivor, because we're just really trying to like survive like the trade and your souls, pun intended. We saw an influx of like new customers coming in and people being really interested of like, oh, like these boots belong to my grandfather, you know, and they're still in good condition, I think. Can you help me make them feel more like my boots? And that we know. But now also, I think since then, everything's started to like move much faster and people do want things much quicker. So we have to always kind of educate our customers of like, you know, what we do takes time and we can't rush it. We're not a factory. And if shoes have lasted for like 3 decades, they might even last for another 3. They just need a sprucing up. Following brands that have been around for a very long time is so important. Like understanding like what their ethics are and how they're making their footwear is so important. We have customers sometimes texting us while they're shopping saying, can you look at this boot? Is this really like worth that money, or is this constructed this way? And we tell them because we know that customer is going to come back then with that boot and get it repaired. Normally, Goodyear welted shoes will use all leather uppers, leather soling, and then just have like a rubber heel and maybe a rubber half sole attached to it. And then you can see the stitches through the whole sole. And that's a good indicator that this boot was really made up to the standards. Well-made shoes usually started like $350 to $400, and that's a lot of money for some to like really invest in right away. But I always try to like let them know that if you buy that boot that costs that much, the repair that's coming in will only be probably like $40 to like $60. Whereas like you bring me a shoe that's $80, the repair might actually cost you $200. So these are some of the brands that are extremely popular that we get on the constant. This particular brand is called Margiela, and this style of shoe is called the tabby. So it has like the tabby toe here. They're quite expensive, so it's really important that people like protect the soles on them, and that's where we come in, and we love working on them. People love seeing videos of how we, you know, prepare the soles and cut into them. It really brings us joy to work on them. We get excited as a team when like the really popular kind of styles come in. And then we have one customer who brings us these really cool Japanese sandals called Gaitas. And he has a different variety of them, ones with 2 stills, 1 still. I love to show people that we can work on footwear that doesn't seem like your everyday type of shoe. So here's a good example of a shoe that, you know, someone really doesn't want to get rid of and they love, and they've, as you can tell, they're well worn. And this is where we come in. All of this is rebuildable. I remember this customer sort of sharing the story that they've had these for like, you know, 10 plus years, can't let them go, can't find another pair like this. They've really worn them in. And I think there is something to be said where sometimes for us, especially when we had the retail space, customers would come in and, you know, almost like unload their worries on us. You know, they would drop off their shoes and then out of nowhere it would be half an hour later and it's been a therapy session. When our location was in Kensington Market, we have all these amazing vintage stores, and so now some of the owners still like bring us a lot of their repairs, and we had gotten these like vintage hiking boots. They were heavy as a brick, but made all out of leather. So the soling was like stacked leather, the uppers were leather, and I think they were like maybe about like 80 years old. Like very, very cool. The metal was like just slightly rusted. The leather was a little bit brittle, so we really had to like give it like a gentle you know, attention to it. But we thought it was fascinating that like people climbed in this and perhaps maybe even Mount Everest, but they were like clumpy like type of leather shoes. And now anyone that wants to hike, they want like have like light breathable hiking shoes. And back then people really like, I don't want to say suffer through, but they really wore leather shoes for everything, you know, like Sunday best, but also then construction and whatnot. And I'm always asked like, what type of shoe would you make? Like, who are you as a designer? And I'm so baffled by that question. So I want to dabble in that world a little bit more. And I'm excited to see where it takes me and what I can share then with the world. I kind of want to break the barrier of having to be so traditional with the shoemaking aspect. What repair has taught me is that like you don't have to always follow all the steps you've been taught. You can kind of not necessarily like cut corners, but you can use a different material or a different tool to get to that same outcome. So we've been in business for 11 years, and like throughout the years, we've always like changed. You know, the second year of owning the business, we had 2 locations. At one point, we had 13 staff. But I think like sometimes when you grow really big, you kind of miss the whole point of why you started something or why you're doing something. And then, of course, with the pandemic happening and us having to, again, pivot as a business on like, how can we sustain staying in this environment where we don't know what's happening, right? We decided to like move into a private studio shared with my partner who's an artist. And it's been working out so well for us. It's brought a new perspective of like slowing down, really paying attention to the work and offering better quality. At the same time, I've started to think a little bit more creatively as well of like what I want to do every day. So the slowing down has been really good for us as a team, and it's created more space and time that we can like focus on bigger and better projects. I'm very hopeful for the future, and I'm so excited for what's to come. We just recently became the authorized cobbler of a very large brand that I can't name as of yet because they'll like announce it. And on top of that, we want to offer workshops with the team, which we're so excited for, and as well custom bespoke footwear of some sort, and perhaps even doing more collaborations with other artists is something that we're really looking forward to.
Here's a look at something we're working on.
In the case of gays and lesbians, people were hiding something, but it wasn't something frightening. It was something beautiful. It was love that we were hiding, and yet people turned it to become something more villainous.
That's coming up on the agenda.
Always looking for more about what's going on at Queen's Park? Nerd Out with Steve Paikin and John Michael McGrath and the On Poly podcast. Fridays on the agenda, anytime on TVO.org or the podcast platform of your choice.